Is anybody out there? One thing I just came across this week is deposits on purchases where you have a bank wire. According to BCFSA, it's not when the bank wire was sent, it's when we receive it. And sometimes the bank wires can take a couple of days to get into the office. So it's not good enough for you guys to go out there and have your subject removals on a Friday and then have your client do a bank transfer on that Friday. And in those situations, you're better off to get a bank draft and get the bank draft in the client's hand on the Friday. When they remove subjects, they hand it to you. And I always put within 1 business day of final subject removal. So if we remove subjects on the Friday, they have the money to get it, or I have the money to get it. And our obligation is to put it into our bank as soon as possible. So careful about the bank wires. And we don't want to accept the deposits early, because if the deal falls through, we need both signatures to release the deposit back. And if the buyer and the seller have had a fight or a disagreement, and the seller doesn't think that the buyer used due diligence to remove subjects and they're going to hold up the deposit, they can hold up the deposit if we have it on file. So it's back to old school, guys. You got to have your client with the deposit in hand. When they remove subject, they hand it to you. Don't take it before then. Don't take the deposit before you've removed the subjects. Otherwise, you're obligated to hand it into the office. We're obligated to put it into our trust funds. And if it goes into the trust funds, then that means that we need 2 signatures to get it out if the deal collapses. That's the seller and the buyer. If they've had a disagreement, the seller may not want to sign it. So you're going to have to use your best judgment in timing those and getting them done. So careful about the bank wires. They don't go through automatically, and it's not when they sent it, it's when we received it in our account. And oftentimes we're dealing with a credit union this weekend, and they're slow to react. It took them 2 days to get the money into our account, and then we have to deal with the late deposit kind of form and all that other stuff, and it just complicates the deal. So careful on your deposits, guys. A bank wire, yeah, they're okay, but if they don't get into our account, they get hung up in the banking system. It doesn't count until it goes in. So that's just a warning. I'll send out an email on that later today. How's everybody else doing? Robbie, how are you doing? You back at work, I see, showing up for meetings. How are you doing? You got anything on the go? You're on mute or something. I don't know what's going on there. Well, we'll let you off the hook there. We can't hear you. Armand, what are you doing in your car there? Are you hanging out in your car in the park somewhere, or what are you doing?
No, I was coming to the gym, and I just saw the email of Angel that you're going to talk about pre-sale, and I'm just joining from the car.
Okay, good for you for joining. Thanks for coming in. I appreciate
it. No problem.
And that's all it takes, guys, is, come to these meetings, attend the meetings, just put your phone on. If you're in the car, whatever, it's kind of important that you every week we talk about interesting things that happen during the week and things that are going to benefit you going forward. And, in talking to a lot of you guys over the past little while about pumping up your business and getting going, some of you kind of a little slow moving or whatever. Part of it is getting your head in the game, and getting your head in the game. That means attending these meetings and, coming to the office and being front and center. It's pretty easy to sit at home and not do anything, and not get anything done, even though you've been busy all day, you made a few calls. But come into the office, attend the meetings. Everybody's, you're going to get motivated by the meetings and about the other people in the meetings and their stories and so on and so forth. So if you want to be successful, you got to show up for work. Part of showing up is attending the office, attending meetings, and coming to these kind of things. So good on you guys for being here. It really, it's appreciated for you there.
I'm back now. I don't know if you had a question for me earlier.
Yeah, how's business going? Yeah, what's going on? You powering up again? What are you up to for generating business?
Yeah, feel very on the spot at the sales meeting here. I'm just back to work. Yes, calling all my old leads that are like a year and a half old on my lead gen thing. I had one person that seemed to be good, but they're now ignoring me. Classic. I had a realtor reach out to me that I did a CMA for his parents last year. He's coming to town next week and wants to meet. So I might have some good referrals from the Home Sweet Home team over in Calgary, because it'll be 2 realtors now. And yeah, I'm gonna start jumping on Facebook. And yeah,
So, yeah, so just by picking up the phone, you picked up two potential leads, is that correct?
one.
Well, you got the realtor and the guy that's ignoring you.
The realtor reached out to me randomly yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
you
that
got the
was
one
good.
that's ignoring you. Okay, well, that's a start. I always say, you gotta talk to 99 people to get one, so you got 99 left to go. So get busy with it.
It just,
It's
yeah, the stats are 120 contacts should get you a deal. So
there you go. So you all got 124, whatever the number is, guys. It's a tough business. It's not easy. And it's getting up in the morning and making those calls and doing those things, and the things that sometimes make you uncomfortable, but we all got to do them. We got to be, I was talking to one gal about doing these calls and couldn't get a hold of anybody. They called in the morning, called in the afternoon. I said, well, call at 8 o'clock at night. Oh, no, I'm not going to do that. I can't call at 8 o'clock at night. Well, why not? Do you want to eat? Do you want to, that kind of thing. So, I mean, an evening, I always used to set up the guys that I didn't get a hold of in the daytime after 2 or 3 calls. I'd put them for an evening call, and one day a week I'd stay in evenings and I'd make calls from like 7 to 9 or something like that, and try and get a hold of these people. But you got to be kind of shameless, and you got to, rejection's got to be like water off a duck's back for us. I mean, you got to be able to make those calls, and if they tell you to F off, well, then don't call them again. That's okay too. But it's the one that the one guy that says, geez, yeah, I've been working so hard. I've been meaning to call you, but I haven't. I didn't have time. And that's the one call you're looking for. So guys, you got to be tenacious. You got to get out there and you got to make those calls day in and day out, and make sure you're making them. And like Robbie there, she says 124, but whatever it is, you're going to have to make a lot of calls. You're going to have to talk to a lot of people to get these deals done. So, get in the habit of doing it. I'm talking to Mike there. I mean, I know he makes 20, 30 calls every day. And if you did that, you would have your 125 calls a week. If you did 30 calls a day times 5 is what, 150 calls. You would have your one deal a week. But who makes those 30 calls a day? It's the difficult thing to do. But if you do it, you're going to get some results out of that, and it's going to lead to something. And then all of a sudden, you're going to get a lead from last week and a lead from this week. Then all of a sudden you've got 2 or 3 or 4 that you're working with. So it's all about the numbers. So don't feel shy. Get out there and deal with it. Once you do have a lead, make sure you're following through on it and you're following up. Look at all the places. I mean, it's crazy out there. I know I've been out looking around, and everything that we're looking at is sold. And we're querying all of the listing realtors to say, if your deal falls through, let me know. As it turned out, they called back and we got some deals done. So it's a little bit of everything that you're doing, guys. So don't show up for work, do your 9 to 5, and make your things. The thing we're going to talk about that our man's here for, he's got to work out. I know I don't want to hold him up, is assignments. And most of our assignments are developer assignments. So first of all, when you take a listing of an assignment, you want to make sure that you have all the developer's authorization that they're going to let you assign it or let the client assign it and you list it going forward. And there's the first thing I recommend you guys always do is when you're going to take a listing of an assignment, the listing is actually on a regular listing form. You just, instead of putting the legal description, you put in there, this is for the assignment of the contract dated such and such between so and so and so and so, dated whatever date with the legal description of whatever. So you're selling the contract, you're not selling the property. There's 2 transactions here. There's the actual transaction of the actual property itself, and then you're selling only the right to buy that property. So there's 2 transactions. There's the property transaction, which is the unit itself, and then you're selling the contract, not the property, the right to buy that property when it does close. So what you ought to do is you list it on a regular listing contract, MLS listing contract. But what you got to do is you got to go on to web forms and open up a multiple listing contract, purchase and sale, developer, and you got to know what the hell it says. because when anybody buys the property or puts an offer into you, to your client, to buy the property, they're going to send you a contract of purchase and sale. It's not a regular contract of purchase and sale. It's a contract of purchase and sale for development or for an assignment of contract. And it's totally different than a regular contract. So what I told our realtor on the weekend is read the contract and call me and ask me what your questions are. If you've never read the contract before and you've taken a listing for a assignment of contract, you're going to get in all kinds of trouble when it comes to them putting an offer in. So let me just share my screen with you on that one there. I'm just going to make sure I have that up on web forms. And okay, you guys should see the assignment of contract there. Is that, can you guys see that? Okay, good. Now we've done this one before, but I just want to reiterate it because it's gonna, you know, it seems to be coming into vogue again. People are doing these again. So the assignment of contract purchase sale, you can see right away, it doesn't look like anything like a regular contract of purchase and sale. First of all, there's no buyer and seller. There's an assignee and assignor. The assignor is the seller and the assignee is the buyer. And that's, I just changed that in my head so I can read through this. The developer's information is all in here because they're part of this contract. They're going to have to sign off on it here. And it has all of the information that the original guy had signed into, the date of the contract, upgrades, anything like that. And one of the things that I found with these assignment of contracts is that you got to get all the paperwork. When the original buyer bought it, they signed on for upgrades or an extra parking.
Oh, you got it on your.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I couldn't see when my laptop wasn't working properly.
Robbie, can you put your
I had a cramp.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so there's a lot of information that you got to gather in there, and you got to, you know, look through that, get all that, the original purchase price, the deposits held, and so on and so forth, and go through all of that. Make sure that's all there. Consent to be obtained by whatever date. That's the developer's consent. Usually they charge a fee for that. They 1 or 2% of the lift fee. So if it's 100 grand, they'll charge 2 grand or 4 grand, whatever it might be. You want to find all that information out. You probably want to talk to the developer and make sure that they're on board with this. So, you know, do your due diligence here and finding all that out. But even if you're doing a listing, make sure what I told our realtor to do is fill one of these out as per. You're going to get an offer on it because you're going to be the one receiving the offer. You want to make sure it's done right. And what I do a lot of times, guys, is that sometimes the other realtor doesn't know what's what. They're not experienced enough. And most realtors don't know how to even, have never seen this assignment of contract. They don't know how to fill it out full of beans. So if you want to remove the obstacles from the purchasers buying your property, you want to be able to help the selling realtor out on this and how to fill it out. So when it comes down to here, legal description for the contract of purchase and sale, this is an assignment for the contract of purchase and sale. They can put all of the information about it here. Now, this is where you get hung up. Reimbursement of deposits paid under the contract to the assigner. If they put 50 grand down, 50,000 would be in there. Balance of the assignment amount. The assignment amount is actually the lift. Or the amount of profit they want. So that would be if they want to make 100 grand on it, 100,000 would be in there. Now, if it's a negative, if they're going to lose money on it, and we've seen that a little bit of that earlier on this year, where some people were taking a loss because they never intended on closing on the deal. They had bought the pre-sale for an investment. They thought it would go up 100, 200 grand. They would just sell the contract, make 200 grand, never have to put the money out. But when it came time to close and they didn't have the money, they had to dump the contract fairly quickly. In which case, sometimes they took a loss. In that case, the loss would be in here. Balance of assignment amount. The lift would be a negative. So that might be a negative 25 or negative 50, whatever they're going to lose. But when you add that all up, A and B and C, the bottom line is D here will be what the total purchase price will be for the new buyer. So up here in the contract, I think you have original purchase price. So if that was 750 and the lift was 50 grand, they want to make 50 on it. this number is going to come out to 800,000, the 750 plus the 50 your client's making. And if you add these numbers up, you're gonna have whatever the deposit was paid. The 50 grand is right here, and then the assignment out A plus B, and so on and so forth. So, you know, guys, if you're writing one of these up, call me beforehand. Come into my office and let's chat about it. Let's go through all the numbers for you, or let's do a Zoom meeting or whatever we have to do. But you know, you want to have this all done before you put an offer in, or before you accept an offer. And then the other main part, the deposits. If we're working for the buyer, have the deposits paid to the buyer's lawyer, not to Century 21. And the reason for that is if the seller is a foreign entity, they can take the money and run. And if they take the money and run, and it's not been ascertained whether or not they're a foreign entity or a foreign seller, then your client, you and Century 21 could be liable for that taxes on the 25% of whatever it is. So if it's 100 grand, your client could have to pay the 25,000. You don't want to have that. If it goes through the lawyer has methods to ascertain whether or not they're foreign entities on the other side, and they'll withhold the tax. We don't have any capacity in the office to withhold taxes. We're not a tax company. We're not accountants. We're not lawyers. We just do the conveyancing. We transfer the money back and forth. So please, when you're working for the buyer, have the buyer's lawyer handle the deposit. So deposit payable within 24 hours of acceptance to the buyer's lawyer. And that kind of solves that part there. So make sure you're using their lawyer, and always use a lawyer in these transactions, the same as you would a regular, you know, purchase and sale. Always have your buyer or your seller have a lawyer so that we can refer to them. That defers a lot of the liability off of us and you back onto the lawyer. We really need that in these transactions. Terms and conditions, whatever you have there. And the other thing that I just want to point out for these, I'm not going to hang on this for too long, but it's who pays taxes on what. You know, who's going to pay the GST. Make sure it's clear and determine who pays the GST. Usually what happens, the buyer will pay the GST on the original purchase price. The seller will pay the GST on the lift. If they're making a profit and it's 50 grand, they'll pay the GST on the lift. So make sure that's in your terms and conditions as to exactly who pays what on the tax part of it. You don't want to, I think in this contract, it says that the seller will pay it, but you have to read through it, assignment amount. But read through these and just have a go through it. When you have, these are the options for the release of assignment amount. Option A is probably the best one all around. It's the most protective for everybody. And this is what it says. This is how it reads. Assignment amount released on submission for registration. The assignment amount once paid and when all conditions, if any, are waived or satisfied, is to be held in trust by the stakeholder and is to be released to the assignor, and any real estate commissions with respect to this assignment agreement is then payable upon transfer of the property being submitted for registration. So that's everything happens when it all closes. That's the best one for the buyer, not so much for you as the seller's agent, and I'll explain that why. That's C. If you read C, that's the better one for the seller. And let me read C for you. Portion of the assignment amount released on subject removal, balance released on submission for registration. Once the assignment amount is paid and when all conditions, if any, are waived or satisfied, the portion of the assignment amount equal to the deposits paid by the assigner is released to the assignor. And the balance is held in trust by the stakeholder and is to be released to the assignor. And any real estate commissions with respect to this assignment is then payable upon the transfer of the property being submitted for registration in the appropriate land titles office. If this does not happen by such and such a date, it's there. So let me just go over B. Sorry, maybe I got the B and C off here. Let me just read B. Assignment amount being released on subject removal. This is the one for the seller's agent, the better one. The assignment amount once paid and when all conditions, if any, are waived and satisfied shall be released by the stakeholder to the assignor, and any real estate commissions with respect to this assignment agreement is then payable. And the assignee expressly assumes all risks under the contract, including the risk of the construction of the property is not completed, as provided for in the contract or the disclosure statement, even if the developer does not complete construction of the property or fails to complete the contract, the assignment amount shall not be returned to the assignee except where the developer's failure to complete the construction of the property or complete the contract is due to the assigner's breach of this contract agreement. So that's the worst case scenario for a buyer. They're taking all the responsibility. The assignor or the seller is going to take their deposit and their lift and off they go. And that's and you're going to get paid your commission right away. So that's the best one for you guys as a buyer's agent, but or sorry, as a listing agent, but not for the buyer. If you're a buyer's agent, you want to pick A. So you can see how complicated A, B, C is here. Don't deviate from A, B, or C. Some of you guys go to a D, option D, and you make up your own, and you write up whatever the hell you want to write up there, and it's often wrong, and you have the unintended consequences of avoiding the contract because you wrote your own clause in there that doesn't really make sense to anybody. So please, when you're doing an assignment of contract, whether you're listing or buying, make sure you only accept A, B, or C. All of the scenarios are really in there to one degree or another. When you're a buyer's agent, you always want to use A. When you're a seller's agent, you want to use A or B. Either one is fine. The C one, not so much. So that's a little bit about the assignment of contracts, guys. Watch out for those going forward. These are on web forms. Please look at one if you're looking at buying one or you're looking at selling one. Go online to web forms, download it and read it. That's the best thing you can do. If you have questions, call me please beforehand, not on Saturday night at 8 o'clock when you're trying to figure out what the hell you're doing. Because nobody's in a great mood there, that going forward. So is there any questions on assignments, Armand? Armand does a lot of these, so he's
Question. Oh.
Shannon, you got a question?
Yeah, Armand, go ahead first.
I think he's stuck in his car. I don't know what he's doing. You go ahead, Shannon. Go ahead.
No,
Oh,
I was
okay.
waiting for her to ask her question, and I was gonna add a few things to that.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Armand.
One thing I was gonna mention, especially if you're a listing agent for the assignment, make sure you have the permission from the developer to, if you wanna post it on MLS, especially. Some of the developers, they don't allow you to post it on MLS. And if you're the buyer and seller, just know, and the buyer doesn't need to know because the seller needs to pay the assignment fee to the developer. If you're the leasing agent, make sure your client knows the amount, and on top of the contract, it's between the listing, the seller and the developer, they need to pay a fee to the developer as well.
Good, thanks, Armand. Yeah, that's absolutely right. So get all those out of the way and make sure you understand them, because it doesn't have to sign the contract. Shannon, you had a question.
Yeah, that was kind of my question, is that can we promote it, and like, can we promote it on MLS if we had to? But I guess it sounds like it's up to the developer at the end of the day. So
Yeah,
whatever they want to do.
Yeah, a lot. If they're not sold out, they'll kind of prohibit it. But if they're sold out, they really don't care. But before they're sold out, they don't want to be competing against their own inventory for lower prices. If they're priced at 800 and you're trying to sell yours at 750, not a good thing for them. So that's one of the reasons why. But when your clients are entering into a contract to buy a pre-sale, make sure you read the assignment rules, because a lot of times they'll allow it, sometimes they won't, but make sure your client's aware of that and you follow the rules. But it's always a good idea to give the developer a call and find out what you can about it anyway. It's very important, and you do need their authorization to do it. Any other questions about assignments? Okay, we're gonna move along a little bit here, and I got a bunch of questions about foreign buyers and what they can, and somebody buying for their cousin or uncle or sister or whatever it might be, and we got a Canadian citizen buying for them, basically, guys, I have a difficult time answering those questions. I know for a fact that on our FinTrax, we have to report that it's for a third party, and once you report that it's for a third party, that's going to raise red flags with FinTrack. Well, we don't really want to deal with the FinTrack people. I've never dealt with them before, and to be honest with you, I really don't want to deal with them in the future. I don't know who they are, but I've heard nasty stories about them and giving fines to the company and the realtors and everybody else. And when they come out, both guns blazing. So I would say no. And what I did with that realtor is I referred them to Ken Pasner. Ken Pasner was just in our office. He did our in-house sales meeting last week, and he talked about foreign buyers and what, trying to skirt around the rules. And that's basically what you're doing. You're trying to skirt around the rules. And I said to our realtor, I said, look, they have the foreign buyers ban in there for a reason. If you're trying to get around it, you're going to get yourself caught in some kind of dragnet or rules that we don't know about. So if you're going to do that, make sure you're talking to Ken Pasner and to get a lawyer's view on it and get legal advice on that before you do that. Because I don't want to get in trouble. I know you don't want to get in trouble. And my thing to the realtor was, look, you're going to make 7 or 10 grand on this. Is it worth your career? And the answer is no. Don't be making exceptions for your clients because they want to do this or they want to do that, and they're trying to skirt the rules and get you to kind of come along with them. Because even in the thing, if we're found assisting somebody, I know that he said there's a $10,000 fine. Well, we kind of all laughed at that. I mean, when you're buying a $2 or $3 million property, a $10,000 fine, it's just another tax in other ways. But the other consequence of that is that if BCFSA gets involved in that, then we're really in trouble, going forward, and they're going to be doing audits and looking at all our files. So really be careful with these foreign buyers right now. There's all kinds of rules that, like Ken said, if you miss one, you're going to get caught by another one, one way or another. Empty tax rule, foreign. All kinds of speculator taxes and so on and so forth. So take your time on those ones there for foreign buyers. Call Ken. I mean, he's got the lowdown and all that. I know somewhat about it, but I would much prefer that we have a lawyer's opinion on that. And if we do get caught up in something, well, we have our lawyer's opinion. This was his opinion. We got at least an argument that we did our due diligence in order to not get ourselves in any trouble. So just watch out for the foreign buyers thing there. Any questions on that? All right, Mike, I think it's up to you, buddy. I'm kind of done. If Greg and Theo and any of you guys have anything you want to add, what's going on in North Shore there? You guys causing trouble out there? Theo, I haven't heard from you in a couple of days. What's going on? I think they're trying to figure out how to turn their mic on there. All right, well, we're having tech. Am I the only guy with the mic on today?
We've got it's my fault, sexagenarian operating the Zoom here.
A what? A sexagenarian? What the hell is that?
Yeah, please explain.
I don't know. What do you call somebody who's in their 60s? You're not there yet. You're okay.
Sir,
no, sir. There you go. No, hey, North Van is good. You haven't heard from me in a couple of days, Doug. I just put a deposit check into trust. I got a purchase yesterday, but it was in multiples. It was a house in Blue Ridge. We had to compete 3 offers, and we're seeing that like Blue Ridge and Lynn Valley in the kind of 1.7 to 2 million range is hot. We're seeing 3 to 5 to 7 offers on kind of almost everything, even backups here and there. That's right around the average price band for detached in North Van, right? So it stands to reason. There's some real nice stuff selling too, but we've also been on the phone the last couple of days with a couple of colleagues in Toronto, dealing with some referrals, and it sounds like we've got it easy here compared to out there. I was speaking to somebody in our Newmarket office yesterday, and he was in on something last weekend that had 27 offers on it,
And
which is bananas. And then
last night I was in multiple offers with a great guy in Toronto from his name is Steve Warren.
Yeah.
And we were looking for a last minute somebody to help us out. I got a call from a client, is one of the buyers is son a condo in downtown Toronto, and we ended up in multiple offers last night, 4 people. We were cash, big deposit, the whole 9 yards, beaten out, about 60 grand over asking. So yeah, it's the same story right across the country. There's just not enough product. So
Yeah.
no
Well,
numbers.
Usually what happens, Greg, in the Vancouver market, it somewhat follows the Toronto market, and we're going to see that, we start seeing that here too. And
Yeah, it's already here. It's
Yeah.
already here, definitely.
Yeah, well, I
So,
think it's going to get worse. I mean, you know, the guys I was working with, I said, look, if we don't get this place, I think we should take a break because it's going to get stupid. And then, you know, that's basically what I told him. Sorry, I just got to close my door and get a reverberation back here, but. You know, and I feel sorry for the buyers, you know, especially the young people out there. You know, they're busting their butts to get into, you know, these $600,000 and $700,000 properties, which seems to be a sweet spot, other than the houses at $1.7 million, $1.8 million. But you know, they're having to go over asking, and now it's getting, you know, crazy out there. They're going 50, 70 over, and like you say,
and it's the investors and the cash rich that have the ability to overstep current market value and close that place, and creates value at a new watermark. So it's very challenging. And you know, if I was to give anybody any recommendations, it's get out and learn your product. Going to open homes, and I think one of the best things that we have in North Van here is this very disciplined process for agents opens during the week, and just get out there and look at the product. Even if it's something that you don't have any interest in, you're always interested in what it sells for. So and meet other agents, of course, because they are our greatest source of intelligence, each other.
Yeah, that's true. And I, you know, I didn't mention that we're mostly downtown here for me, but for those of you who are in the outlying areas like Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam, Burnaby, and all that, they do have agent tours. And if you go onto the MLS, or you call the board 730-3000 and ask them, you know, who to contact for the MLS tours, they always have one agent that's in charge of all that, and they'll have them on Tuesdays or whatever, Friday mornings, whatever it might be. And what happens is that you all meet at a restaurant somewhere. We used to meet at the Coquitlam Grill, and there would be, you know, 15 to 25 realtors there. And, you know, we'd have a breakfast thing, they'd have a little meeting, they'd have a guest speaker come in, an inspector, whatever, and then we'd go out and do the house tour, and we'd be in the house for about 10 minutes each, and we'd do probably, you know, 7 or 8 houses, and the last one would sponsor lunch, and whoever that realtor was that was doing that open would go to Costco, whatever, get a box of sandwiches and some water and cookies, and everybody would have lunch at the last thing. So if you're not in the downtown area, and I don't know, I've never done one down here. If any of you know, Sonny would probably know about that.
Isn't Friday a downtown day?
Sorry, what's that?
For agents?
Yes.
Friday is a downtown day, Doug, for agents opens in the downtown core. Is that right?
Yeah, I think I heard something about that. I guess I should try and go to one and see it is, but it's a weird thing with the parking and all that. I mean, if you get behind the guys ahead of you, and I remember trying to get my shoes on, trying to follow all these guys that I went in a couple of these things, and man, I used to wear these tie-on shoes, and I got rid of those pretty quick, and I figured out why realtors wear these slip-ons, because Christ, you're in and out of these things in 2 minutes, and if you get behind, you know, they have no patience for you. It's like the animal kingdom. They just leave you and you're done. It's no waiting for you. So they are kind of fun though. It's kind of fun out there to do them. So whatever area you're working in, I don't know where you're at, Shannon, Navid, Zach, where you're at, make sure you're going to these, because like Greg said, it's market intelligence and knowing what's out there. And if there's not a realtor open, go to the opens on the weekend if you're doing nothing and find out what the inventory is out there. If you're having trouble getting your client into a place, look at the places that have been on the market for 20 or 30 days. They're not quite as desirable. But what I find now, is that all the young people are going for the new places. They want new, they want brand new, they want brand new appliances. They want as new as they can get. If it's the newer, the better. And they're not looking at the older places. And the benefit of some of the older places, if they've got good bones and they've got good strata, management, so on and so forth, they're usually larger. They're, they're better priced and so on and so forth. So, expand your horizons, and it all comes down to your client's expectations. You got to manage your expectations. If they expect they're going to go out there and buy a new place with no problem at all, that's not a good expectation. You got to kind of, bring them along and let them know what the market is, and you got to kind of instruct them on the market and give them information on what's happening, so that they know that if they go to a brand new place that's well priced, they're going to get multiple offers on it, and they're going to end up paying $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 more. If you look to something a little older, you're going to get maybe a bigger space for less money, and you're not going to get in that crazy competition and pay that I call it a kind of a speculation tax of 40 or 50 grand just because of your multiple offers. It's just more money they don't need to spend. And prices are already high enough. I mean, we've already went up 20, 30, 40%. I mean, 700,000 for a one bedroom is absolutely ridiculous in my mind. I have no control over it, but it's just it's overpriced. It just doesn't make sense. The poor guy's going into debt for 25 years, paying $3,500 a month for a mortgage to get a one bedroom apartment. It's not the way it ought to be. But anyway. That's another story, another place. So, work with your clients and look at properties that are maybe been on the market for 20 or 30 days. You're going to get a better deal on them. Mike, you've been pretty quiet, buddy. What's going on with you? Your mic isn't working. Maybe that's part of it. He's done.
Really? Doug?
Doug,
Yeah.
Doug?
actually mute yourself, mute yourself. Mute yourself, would you?
Greg,
Me?
mute, yes.
Okay.
There you go. There, can you hear me, Doug?
Yes.
Could you turn your volume off? Give me a sec, guys. Hello? You gotta turn it on. This camera's adding 10 pounds. Just
It's there.
there we go. Only takes us a little while. It takes three of us to run this. That was a good meeting, Doug. Yeah, I think just to recap some of the stuff, and then I got a couple of things to add. With assignments, I was asked, are we seeing a lot of assignments in the office? And I said, no, not yet. And I think the difference between this time around and then the 08-09s was 08-09 was a huge assignment year because there's a lot of people that were buying to selling, quite simply. So there's a lot of lift in place. And then when the market shifted, the developers were caught with a lot of inventory in their hands. So they started to do restrictions on assignments. But right now, I think what's happening is assignments should start coming up because there's going to be a lot of people that cannot complete based on interest rates coming up and just life. And it's not just interest rates, but it's, recession, the economy, their jobs, everything shifted. But there's no inventory. So they might be in a good place to sell. So if I was wearing your shoes, I would find the buildings that have just recently completed and start doing postal walks into those neighborhoods or direct mail to those units, asking if anybody is interested in selling their place. Now is the time to chase the inventory, and that's probably one really, really good way of going at and getting it. And there's some sites that will tell you when the completions are, and maybe Armand can add to that. But I always thought Buzz Homes is probably one of the better sites for giving you really, really good detailed information on the project, the developer, all the background, and completion date or forecasted completion date. But I would look at that one. I missed Ken Pasner's meeting last Tuesday regarding foreign buyers, but that's a positive. They've starting to loosen up a bit. So anything that's going to allow people to come in to buy real estate, I think is a good thing, as long as we can track who they are, where their money's coming from, and that they pay the same amount of tax that we all pay. Because I think that was the biggest loophole of all, is there were foreigners were coming in, and it was us too, us foreigners as in people buying through companies, buying it, taking their lift, closing it down. You can't chase them for the tax earned on that, which is a huge increase in our prices. The press this week, it's only Tuesday, mind you, was saying some positive stuff about our industry, that maybe now is the time to buy. So that's another reason to make those phone calls. And speaking of phone calls, I was dealing with one of our agents last week who had a lead gen system, and that lead gen system produced X amount of leads. And those leads were at the beginning of the conversation were shitty leads, you know, and a lot of leads are, but when we got that agent to make the phone calls back to that list, even though the list was a year old, the first 25 conversations, 3 of the 25 actually bought some real estate.
That's it.
So that's a big, so that just tells it just,
Yeah.
guys, it's just a lead's a lead. It's what you do with it. So I've always said, this is how you make your $1 billion, and you pick up the phone and you call somebody. And for those of you that have some roots into this business, you have past customers that you should be calling, because they trusted you once, they'll trust you again, and they'll give you somebody if you ask for it the right way. And for those of you that are new, you have to pick up the call and call everybody that you know and remind them that you're in the business and ask them for help. So the new ones that are here because I believe that you have what it takes to do it. And that is one of the biggest ways to go ahead, is pick up the phone. You're not eating humble pie, and you're just simply asking for help. And Doug mentioned it as well. There's no business in your kitchen, in your living room. Come to the office and make your calls, have a conversation with your peers that are here about plans and strategies, and maybe how you can help them get some business done, because it will pay you back if you got nothing to do. Agents opens, I believe now that they're coming back. And Angel, I don't want to put you on the spot, but if you can dig up a weekly schedule of where they are. Yes, downtown is Fridays, North Vancouver's Thursdays, and I forget who's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But they're a good thing to go to if you are. Oh, there's Angel. There's a good thing to go to if you have nothing to do. It's a great thing to go to if you're shopping for a product within that marketplace. And it's an amazing thing to go to when you walk in and you look like a realtor with something on your body or in your hands that says you're Century 21, because the public is going to those as well. Think about it. There's no inventory. Somebody who's dying to go buy a place and sees an open house sign, whether they're driving to work or going for lunch, will stop in there. And if you're that agent that looks like a duck and walks like a duck and you can talk like a realtor, you'll have the first opportunity to give them your 30-second elevator pitch. And that's either when you're in an elevator or on a driveway.
Can I speak to that for a sec?
Yeah.
I bought my own house, the only house I've ever owned, off of an agent's open. I was out randomly looking at agents opens. I didn't have a plan. I was just driving around in the neighborhood Tuesday morning in North Van, west of Lonsdale. And I was with Greg, and we happened upon a agent's open sign, and we went into it, and I ended up buying that townhouse that night because offers were at 5:30 that night, and had my wife come from school and my father-in-law come to do our inspection, and we bought it that night, subject free, deposit in hand. It was back in 2016, and it was agents open. Otherwise, I never would have seen it, and it's been amazing. So yeah.
And so and guys, those are just little snippets of what I picked up from the meeting today. the message is you got to prospect, you got to keep asking for help. And I don't care if you're 1 day in the business or 360 years in the business, if that's even possible. But it's always prospecting. The agent that I was working with, we just simply said, you can't prospect for the whole day. Do it for an hour, do it for 2 hours, and then you walk away from it. But have a goal in mind, have a list, and comb through the list, and then record your stats. How many calls did you make? Out of those calls, how many people you talked to? Out of that, how many told you where to go? And out of that, how many do you think were half decent? And then you can start forecasting that if you did all that for a straight year, what would you get out of it? Because I know if I put Shannon in front of 10 people that they said that they had an interest in buying real estate, she already knows how many would do a transaction with her because she's a great service provider, right? But all you have to do is get those 10 people in front, and then you can budget. And it's all about that. So record the number of calls. And then, oh yeah, and then we were talking about calls, and Doug mentioned something about calling at 8 o'clock. But you know, some people always said call in the morning or call late in the afternoon because that's when you get your calls answered. But we all wear these things now. So I just think it's whenever you think you're going to give good phone, get on the phone and start dialing for those people, because people answer the phone. I can't tell you how many people answer the phone when I call just to tell me they're going to call me back. I mean, that's just a polite way of saying fuck off or whatever. Beep, beep, beep. But anyway, they will answer the phone. Don't leave a detailed message. It's Mike from Century 21. Give me a call and see if you can spark the interest for them to call you. Thursday was a success. We had a good turnout. Angel, thank you so much for staying late and being the door girl at the front. We had no fights, we had no line crashers, and it worked out well. So we'll aim for another Thursday next month. But that's all I have. If anybody needs something from me, just shoot me a text, WhatsApp, whatever. Call me, and let's get together and strategize, because everybody's got some business here. Angel, what's up?
I just want to add some to the meeting. The prospect floor shift is also a good thing. Oh. Was I mute?
You're okay, but you're all over the board there.
Okay, floor shift is also available. I'm gonna be sending the May schedule. So if you are interested, you can just access the spreadsheet, the Google spreadsheet that I will be sending together with the email, and you can fill out the slots that are available if you would like to take.
Oh, you know what? Sorry.
Yeah, that's all I needed. That's all I wanted to add. Floor shifts are available for May.